Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Assalamu alaikum. Welcome back. 11 after 9 o'clock, right here on News and Views with me, Julie Ali, on Salam Media. Now, next, we're going to be talking to Executive Member of Media Review Network, Dr. Haroon Jazbhay, and we're going to be looking at the issue around the BJP in India, obviously, their Islamophobic remarks, and how that's impacting on the Islamic world and Mid Eastern countries. What is it going to take for the BJP party to stop this anti-Islamic phobia rhetoric against Muslims and stirring up so much of violence in the country? So let's unpack and let's look at the support from other countries around the world. Dr. Haroon Jazbhay, Assalamu alaikum. Welcome to the program.
Walaikum salam, Julie. Shukran for having me.
A very worrying situation, is it not? Because when one goes back a couple of months ago, we know that this Islamophobic rhetoric started in India with the hijab story. Young girls at schools and colleges were being attacked because they were wearing hijab. Now it's gone even further, and astaghfirullah, we're now hearing that some members of parliament in India have insulted our beloved Nabi Kareem sallallahu alaihi wasallam.
Yes, Julie. As you rightfully mentioned, there's been a number of incidences. The hijab incident was just about the latest before this current issue of the insults against the Prophet Muhammad and his wife Aisha. However, what we've seen is that a steady decline, a steady part of democratic decline and Islamophobia, state-sanctioned Islamophobia in India ever since the election of the BJP in 2014. So these incidences must not be viewed in isolation. These are state-sanctioned Islamophobia based on the genocidal Hindutva ideology, similar to that of Zionism and Nazism. And it is aimed, and it's based on a one people, one policy, one people, one culture country, in the same way as Nazi Germany and Zionist Israel, where Muslims, where they want the least amount of Muslims in the least amount of land. Now we see the similarities between Zionism and Hindutva ideology. So these are not safe. We've seen many incidents. We've seen lynching, burning of homes, the hijab incidences. We've seen a litany of Islamophobic incidences in India. So these insults should not come as a surprise, but what has been warming, what has been the global outrage on the part of Muslim countries, especially those in the Gulf. Whilst I have some certain reservations about their outrage, but it is in any case quite welcomed, and we must ensure that we build upon this to reverse these genocidal strategies on the part of the BJP government in India.
Okay, you talk about the BJP coming into power in 2014. I kind of cast my mind to prior 2014, and I can't seem to remember these sentiments playing out in India pre-BJP coming into power. Is this a tactic they're using to garner more votes, but also, dividing their country and isolating, marginalizing minority groups?
Yes, to say that it didn't come in prior 2014 may not be entirely correct. Islamophobic incidents have always occurred, but the difference is that now it is with the permission and the blessing of the state. Now, so what we're seeing now is nationalism in the same way as Zionism is an expression of Israeli nationalism. What we're seeing now is that Hindutva being an expression of Indian nationalism, and anyone of any other faiths, Muslims are bearing the brunt of this, are now being sidelined, systematically sidelined. Prior to 2014, it was mostly not with the blessing of the state. We've seen what the India considers itself the world's largest democracy, and prior to the election of the BJP, there was a high level of harmony. But now we've seen the BJP using this sort of Hindu nationalism as a strategy to really ensure that it eradicates Islam and Muslims from India, and to ensure that it stays in power for as long as is possible. We've seen this in Palestine as well, where they use Muslims, especially Muslim Palestinians, as political football to garner votes. We've seen this during the most recent elections between Benjamin Netanyahu and his various rivals. He eventually lost, but we've seen Islamophobia in Israel. So, and strangely enough, we've seen Narendra Modi visiting Tel Aviv a few years ago. So we've seen this closeness. We've seen Trump visiting India. So we've seen, these various nationalism gaining attraction in the world and using Muslims and Islam as for politicking. And now they've crossed the red line. The Prophet and the Ahlul Bayt are a red line for Muslims. Insulting them, insulting Sahaba, is what gets the Muslim world awake. And we just hope that we can increase this momentum to reverse the genocidal policies in India. It must not stop. Once the diplomatic storm has dissipated, we must ensure that this is the point in which it is reversed, that we do not
So,
go back to business as usual.
okay, so Dr. Jasper, the other question as well is we spoke of Palestine, we're talking about India. There's also a very sad scenario playing out in China with the Uyghurs, the Muslims. Why do you believe? And I will come back to the Indian situation because it, as you said, they've crossed the line undoubtedly. But why do you believe there's this anti-Muslim sentiment around the world? What is it that the world, non-Muslims, fear about us as Muslims?
You see, Julie, there is this growing sense of nationalism. Instead of globalization, where people are sharing cultures and so on, we've seen a return to nationalism within borders. And many states, including France, we've seen Islamophobia in France. Islamophobia in France is huge. France has a large Muslim population, up to I think just over 6 million. So and it's convenient. It's convenient distraction for many political leaders. France is going through unprecedented economic hardships, as well as Israel, as well as India, and so on. So, in order to distract their populations from the real core of these economic hardships, they tend to look for scapegoats. And Islam and Muslims are these perfect scapegoats, because no one tends to really, even Muslim countries, unfortunately, including those who have rose up now against the insults against Prophet Muhammad, are huge allies of France, are huge allies of India. And this is something that we as Media Review Network have brought about, that we have to look at these systemic forces. We have to look at the countries that have supported India. India is a huge market for these Muslim majority countries. 1.3 billion Muslims is not something that many countries can afford to avoid in times of economic hardships. We've seen, unfortunate organizations in South Africa who supported President Ramaphosa in opposing the attempt to arrest Narendra Modi, amongst other leaders, when they came for the BRICS summit in 2018. So,
And
we've
sadly,
been,
and
yeah.
and and Harun, let me come in here. Very sadly, a lot of high-flying Muslim businessmen attended that conference as well. Very
Yeah,
sadly, they should
it's
not
very
have. They should have boycotted that conference.
yeah, which is why I point out that those 1.3 billion people in India are a cash cow for many companies, for many businessmen, and sadly, the Muslim Ummah played second fiddle at that time. The sad reality of the lynching, the burning of homes, the burning of masjids, and state sanctioned, played second fiddle. Now that the Prophet Muhammad and his family and we have rose up with correctly, but you have to love the Prophet Muhammad, his immediate family, as well as the Ummah. we've seen
Absolutely.
so we can't love one or another. It goes to both. So we have to ensure that
Absolutely. Okay, let's go to the matter at hand and the Islamophobic remarks against our beloved Nabi Kareem Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. I'm going to go for an ad break now, and I'm going to leave you with one or two questions. You can respond after the ad break. Have the BJP crossed the line here regarding insults made to our beloved Nabi and members of his household? Um, some Middle Eastern countries have reacted by removing Indian goods from their shelves. Is this just a flash in the pan, or are they going to continue with this action and try and cripple the Indian economy by going this way, or perhaps create some form of a trade off? Stop your Islamic phobic tendencies against Muslims in the country. Stop making these derogatory remarks against our beloved Nabi and start treating Muslims as equals. Is that too big an ask? Do you think that they won't bow down to such demands from Muslim and Middle Eastern countries? Think about that. We'll be back with you in a minute or two.
With your help, Islamic Relief can continue to stand alongside them. Never has your support been so important. Together, we can stand with the Syrian people. We can help them build a better future. Will you continue to stand with the people of Syria? Please, donate now.
With so many investment options today, it's only natural that you might feel a little confused which route to take. Should I buy shares or should I invest in gold bullion? Randery Jewelers now brings you the Zahab coin, an alternative to the Kruger Rand. The Zahab coin, a solid wealth protector in its purest form of 24-karat gold, is the safest way to protect your wealth. So don't just sit there and watch your paper money depreciate. Change to gold. Call Randery Jewelers now at 031 202 4701 or visit www.rjcoin.co.za, situated at 151 Essenwood Road, Musgrave, Durban. Randery Jewelers, the family name you can trust.
The COVID-19 pandemic has impacted thousands.
We're now being told by our teams and staff on the ground that the situation is becoming quite dire there.
Who now face economic hardship and turmoil across all sectors.
The majority of South Africans are now a lot more concerned in terms of putting food on the table.
Penny Appeal's support to thousands of families in South Africa, Malawi, Zimbabwe, Yemen and Palestine has been possible thanks to your support.
One thing we've learned to make our intention, decide that we want to make this difference.
Thousands more need our help in securing food to sustain their families. Feed our world with Penny Appeal to provide food security to communities in need. We are on the ground. Donate today towards a monthly food pack or breakfast daily to school-going children, or provide impoverished communities with sustainable vegetable gardens. Visit www.pennyappeal.org.za or call 031 1100 573. Penny Appeal. Small change, big difference.
Shimmer, sparkle, captivate. Nothing less than a masterpiece. Droplets of gold inspires precious design. Platinum bursts with intricate freshness. And every pure diamond becomes more than just a girl's best friend. Boda Gold Gem Jewelers, where timeless dreams become a reality. Come to us. We tailor-make designer gold, platinum, and diamond jewelry. Trade in or remodel your old gold. Clad yourself with classy name-branded watches. We offer insurance valuation and freezer card calculation. Visit us at 534 Ridge Road, Overport, or call 031 208 9142. Voda Gold Gem Jewelers, manufacturers of fine gold and diamond jewelry.
One small gesture can change someone's life. The Sanzaf Meals Distribution Project aims to reach out to 100,000 individuals each month with freshly prepared meals daily. With your assistance, we can make this possible by contributing just 12 Rand per meal. Call us on 011 834 6046 for more information. SANZAF, changing lives through development and relief.
Breaking stereotypes, moving boundaries, joining hands. Salam Media. Humanity sets the agenda.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Assalamu alaikum. Welcome back. It is exactly 9:26 a.m. This is News and Views right here on Salam Media. We're talking with executive member of Media Review Network, and that is Dr. Haroon Jazbhay. We're talking about anti-Islamic phobic sentiments all around the world, particularly in India, where undoubtedly the BJP ministers, two ministers in particular, have definitely crossed the line. And also, there have been very derogatory remarks against our beloved Nabi Kareem Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam and members of his family. Back to you, Dr. Haroon Jazbhay. Would you like to respond to the two questions I put to you just before the break?
Yes, yes. I think most certainly a red line has been crossed here, and which is evident by the global outrage of these incidents. Regarding what can be done, if I remember the question correctly, I think it's very important. There are 12 million Indian workers in the Middle East. They send billions of dollars in remittances back to India every year. This must be used as leverage, if I can put it that way, as pressure on India to reverse its genocidal policies. Because remember, as we said, these policies are state sanctioned. They are not just the utterances of foot soldiers, of workers, of spokespersons for the Indian regime. Further, Saudi Arabia and the UAE plan to invest, I think it is somewhere in the region of $100 billion in India's economy over a number of years. These plans these countries must threaten to cancel these plans unless we see a reversal of these policies. So the main point is to hit India's pocket hard. We've seen certain countries remove the Indian goods from their shelves, but these are just temporary measures. We know that these will go back to normal afterwards. The pressure must be applied on the Indian regime that simply just stopping public insults are not enough. The genocide, the incremental genocide against Muslims in India must stop. Genocide, Islamophobia against Muslims and Islam will not be tolerated. Period.
So, Dr. Jazbhay, do you believe that these Mid-Eastern leaders have the political will to take this further, to talk about disinvesting or not going ahead with those investments in India unless and only until they make changes as far as Islamophobia is concerned in India? Do you think that that will in fact come to pass?
We've seen many public statements. Even the deputy foreign minister of the state of Qatar has publicly said that these are not isolated incidences, and we must see practical measures to reverse the state of Islamophobia, state of genocide against Muslims in India. We've seen that was an exceptionally strong statement to make, if possibly the strongest statements made just yet. So time will tell. Muslim countries, Muslim leaders do not have a good track record of unfortunately being principled on the matter of Muslims. The Prophet's Ummah does not play second fiddle to the protection of their thrones, to the protection of their bank accounts. So I'm doubtful that many regimes will carry on with their threats, given that, as I said, India is a cash cow. 1.3 billion people as a cash cow for any country to just suddenly just divest from there. But this investment, as I said, must be contingent upon the reversal of Islamophobia. Just because it's not being said by leaders, spokespersons of political parties of the BJP does not mean it won't continue to happen. It must ensure that there must be programs put in place in India to ensure this reversal. This is a country that played a major role in the non-aligned movement, was a major supporter of the Palestinian cause before the BJP. But we've seen a systematic eradication of democracy, of tolerance, of acceptance. And we are not talking about a small minority of 2 million or 3 million people. We are talking about 200 million people. 20% of the population of India are Muslim. So we must see programs being put in place to ensure a systematic reversal before any big investment projects and continuation of diplomatic relations and economic relations with India continue going forward.
The big question, obviously, is who's going to police that? Who's going to monitor that that actually does happen? Because if there is no accountability, this is going to continue unabated.
Yes, I mean, that's ultimately the sad reality is that, given that the Muslim Ummah at the moment is based on this issue of nation states and not that of a caliphate, so there's no real collective wisdom here. And which is why we may see in a short space of time, that the previous situation returning, where all these countries, including Saudi Arabia, are going to unprecedented economic hardships, and they're looking for different markets in which to serve their goods, different markets in which to increase the level of the economy. So it's up to us as normal folk, the media analysts, the Muslim Ummah at large, to ensure that we hold our respective governments accountable, to ensure that they maintain the pressure on the Indian government to reverse its policies.
And unfortunately, we are aware of the fact that the Middle East is home to a very large number of Indian migrant workers. I guess if the Middle Eastern governments use that as leverage, threaten to send those migrant workers to India, just maybe the tide will turn, inshallah. But will they do it? Do they have the political will?
You remember these Indian workers, and many of them, unfortunately, are Muslim, are cheap labor in many of the Arab states, including the UAE, Qatar, Saudi Arabia. They do the jobs that the nationals of those states don't want to do. So, but it can be used as leverage. But whether there is the political will to be used as leverage, because such decisions have economic consequences on these states. And many of these countries don't have the labor force, especially Qatarians and the UAE, to build those stadiums, to build the big buildings and so on. So it is unlikely, but it is something that can be used.
I guess the only answer then is economic divestment from India by the Middle Eastern countries. But again, the big question is the political will to do that. That being said, South African, we're a minority compared to Muslim populations around the world. I do know that a lot of the ulama bodies have condemned these Islamophobic remarks and actions against Muslims in India. They've put out press statements, etc. It's not enough, is it? We need to be doing more. What would that more be? Do we engage with our government? To engage with the Indian government and also say that not in our name, perhaps?
But I think engagement with DIRCO is something that has to be done. The ulama bodies, especially Jamaat Ulama South Africa, has sent out a rather strong statement again that. But also we must ensure that as South Africans, that our ulama do not engage with the Indian government. We've seen in the past, international, religious personalities visiting Kashmir. The South African government needs to ensure that we speak out against the occupation in Kashmir. We've seen a religious personality from across our border who went to officiate over the nikah of a pro-Indian politician. I mean,
Yes.
we all know who it is. I don't want to go
Yes,
down that road, but
absolutely.
those type of incidences are unhelpful. Our
Absolutely.
ulama as well must actively ensure that they speak out against India. Remember, many of our ulama, many Jamaats go over to India, and they somehow ulama need to maintain some good relations with the Indian government to ensure that we can continue to go over. There are sacrifices to be made
Absolutely.
when we speak out. So we must speak out, but there are sacrifices.
Dr. Ahmed Jazbhay, the executive member of Media Review Network, thank you indeed for your insights on this very serious and hurtful matter regarding insults made at our beloved Nabi Karim Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam and the Islamophobia practices being played out in India as you and I are speaking this morning. So thank you for your time, and till the next time, as always, Allah be with you. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam. Shukran for having me.
Okay, I've just been told that Inayat Wadi will be conducting a panel on the same topic that I've just covered now with Dr. Haroon Jazbhay, and this one of the guests will be Sheikh Zakir from the Cognate as a panelist. We were meant to have talked with him yesterday, but was unable to get hold of him. So that is very definitely an interview to look out for, to listen to, and that is, of course, this evening right here on Salam Media. 8:37 exactly, in a minute or two, we will be looking at the issue around the invasion of the Christian holy site in Jerusalem.